Hey everyone, how's it going today and welcome back to another update. So we have actually brand new information that was just released today if you're watching this on release date, and is going to be negotiated over the next couple of days, potentially even weeks, which is still relevant. But the big thing really is that there is a brand new fourth bill that has officially just come out that is going to be priced at about $68 billion. Now the good news about this bill is that because it is a much smaller bill, what it does mean is that it's going to hopefully potentially be a lot easier to be able to approve. It is also a bipartisan bill, so that is the really great news. And the big thing, probably the most important thing of all, is that inside of this bill, they actually do have, simply put, as stimulus social programs that are meant to put money inside some of our pockets. And I think that's the most important thing. Now the big thing, maybe as a huge alert heads up though, is that because it is a much smaller bill, one thing about this bill is that it's also very targeted, which means that it's going to apply to very specific demographics. Now the great news is that this is a federal bill, so it will apply to all 50 states if this does end up having to be able to approve and go through, and if you also happen to be in that demographic. But we're going to talk about all of the details inside of this bill in today's update so we can really break it down. So we're going to get started, but as always, real fast before we begin, 10 seconds, consider smashing the like button if you guys enjoy videos like this. At least we are making progress, but you guys can always decide. Consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts, or maybe your own personal opinions by the end of this video about what you think about this bill. So with that being said, let's get started right on the spot. So the story to what's been going on in the world of just fourth stimulus checks and packages is that, inspired by the most recent Omicron surges and cases that are still rising to this very day, and the fact that we have recently just broken a brand new high record of seeing 1 million cases reported within the United States within a single day, several politicians have officially now come out in order to propose and try to put together a brand new bill priced at about $68 billion. And the big thing is that this bill, what's really awesome, is that it was actually created by a bipartisan group of people, which means that they are both Democrats and Republicans, which is really nice. So hopefully it'll bring some sense of unity. I believe that the big leaders in this are pretty much going to be Senator Ben Cardin, who is a Democrat, and then also Senator Roger Wicker, who is a Republican. So that is the really great news, is that we're starting to see a level of unity to it. Now, if you're interested in hearing about the Omicron current situation, because that is actually what inspired this bill, I did make a video yesterday, and I'll put it at the very end screen as well, that talks all about what's been going on with the Omicron situation. I believe it's literally just called new variant, because there is also a breaking news new variant that recently just popped out in the last week, and a lot of countries that are now locking down and also creating stimulus programs as well within their own specific groups of people. And the big thing, as we know, is that almost everything in this pandemic since it started with one country, one group, or one thing that basically became a domino to a lot of things. And I think that if we're able to be a lot more alert of what a lot of other places are doing, maybe it'll help us better prepare for the fact that so far a lot of it has been basically spreading now to many other places. But the cool thing about this bill really is that essentially what they're going to be doing is that this bill is really meant to essentially take some new money, specifically from the government, that's going to help fund it, but it's also going to take some money that was already approved within the first, the second, and the third stimulus package and pretty much reallocate. So in other words, is that part of this will be new money, part of this will be old money that is now basically just reused to do this particular bill. Now, the specific target audience or target market for this specific bill is that it's going to really apply to specifically business owners. So that is one thing about this bill. Now, inside of our country, we have like millions and millions of business owners. So if you do happen to be a business owner, this can actually very, very much apply to you. Now, with that being said, if you happen to be an individual and say you don't own a business of some kind, then the big thing is that it can still actually kind of indirectly help out, because what this bill is hoping to do is to give money to a lot of business owners, and this includes both small business owners. So I know there's a lot of people here that have side hustles, especially people that followed along a lot of the earlier videos that we made, such as about like the SBA, PPP, EIDL, EIDL grants, which is targeted to a lot of self-employed individuals, and there are also a lot of people on PUA. But it's also going to apply to a lot of people that run actual physical traditional businesses where you actually have, for example, like a storefront and you hire people, what you would probably think of as just like the traditional definition of business that has been going on for years and years. So this bill is specifically meant to help those demographics of people. And the big thing is that if you just happen to be a general individual, it's hoping that by being able to fund a lot of the businesses, it'll be able to keep a lot of the local mom and pop shops that we kind of shop at locally, that we hopefully care about in our neighborhood, from being able to continue to run, because there have been a lot of them that have closed down over the last 2 years because of what has happened. So there is also a very sentimental value to how this can benefit us. Because of that reason, it's also hoping to maybe potentially create more jobs by keeping a lot of these businesses running. And it also, interestingly, another huge benefit is that it's also interestingly hoping to help deal with a lot of the inflation situation, because right now at this current time, if businesses continue to struggle, it will potentially cost a lot of businesses to raise up their prices, which means that everything is more expensive, which means that it impacts the value of the dollar, which means we ultimately pay even more money for the things that we have, which means that even if we do end up getting stimulus, if everything actually ends up becoming more expensive, then what this means is that it kind of offsets each other. So by funding a lot of businesses through this bill, they're hoping that it'll allow businesses to continue running while keeping their prices relatively low, which means that we also benefit because we can also shop a lot more cheaper, and also the money that we currently have, if we do see more stimulus programs, can hopefully take us further. And I think that's the much more deeper significance, and I think a lot less people are really talking about. Now, there are also specific industries that this bill is hoping to apply for. So the big thing is that this bill is really meant to apply to a lot of businesses that operate within industries such as like the restaurant industry, gyms, performance venues, sports teams, local shops. So anything essentially around the world of things like hospitality, travel, leisure, entertainment, anything in that specific world. And I think it makes a lot of sense, because those are pretty much the industries that I think a lot of people, it's very fair to say, was probably the most impacted throughout the pandemic. I feel it too, because as most people know is that outside of this, I work in the film and the events industry. So when events were canceled last year, it basically represented not just something that people do for fun, but it represented a paycheck that I think was basically the livelihood of a lot of people out there. I was lucky because I did have a relative savings account, and I also have a lot of other side hustles to accompany that. But for a lot of people, this really was basically a massive game changer, which is why this is very particularly important, not just for the fun and games aspect, but because there is an actual livelihood and a much more deeper significance to what this actually means. But beyond this is that that's what I really just wanted to share in today's update, to hopefully break down about what's been going on with this bill. So the big thing, what we're really waiting for going forward from here, is that we just have to pretty much see how the Omicron situation unfolds. We also have to see, interestingly, how the new variant unfolds, which once again I'll put a video at the very, very end screen, which literally just called new variants. We have to see how pretty much the entire pandemic goes, and the cases and health and everything like that basically changes going forward from here. Then of course a lot of things about what they end up ultimately deciding to put down within this bipartisan bill, what they end up deciding for the larger Biden's Build Back Better plan bill, and then a lot of the other programs such as with like fourth stimulus checks, unemployment, how the rates go, how the job market goes, the inflation. The big idea is that there's a lot of things that are happening right now. So as always, if you guys enjoyed this video or hopefully at least found something insightful, maybe consider smashing the like button. If you guys haven't done so, consider subscribing if we hopefully do get more updates to be able to share them. Huge thanks if you guys have been here for a while. You know, huge thank you. You guys are the best for that. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts about honestly just really anything. So that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well. Happy holidays, happy new year. Well, holidays are over, but happy new year, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.